Man, that was just like a tidal wave of noise flooding at you. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album Betty by Helmet. Now so far I've listened to two of Helmet's albums, their debut studio album Strap It On and their second studio album Meantime, and I really enjoyed both of them. They always bring so much energy, they're a very hard-hitting band and they don't hold back. They just unleash so much sound on their albums. So I'm very excited to check out their third studio album Betty that they released in 1994 and just see what I'm going to think of this one. Okay, starting this album off is track 1 called Wilma's Rainbow. Did he just say watershed? It was almost like this song just opened up all of a sudden and it kind of had this elongated sound to it, like a watershed opening up. Honestly, that bass, oh, I always love Helmet's music, how that bass is emphasized so strongly. A little atmospheric break just there. I love how sort of pushed back this guitar solo sounds. It's almost got this flat, tooty effect going on, and then the bass and the percussion and everything are really surrounding it with just a whirlwind of noise. That was track 1, Wilma's Rainbow. Absolutely fantastic sound with that one. Just a blending of so many styles. I loved how on the chorus it was more smoothed out. It was kind of like the song opened up and then it was way more punchy and it brought more of that aggressive edge on the verses. And there were some really strong atmospheric elements in that track as well. At times they would kind of stop the song and the energy would sort of dissipate and then they would bring it right back. But up next is track 2 called I Know. I feel like I'm diving into a pool of water with that tone. The instrumentals are just so immersive with their sound. It's incredible. There's such a forcefulness to his vocal delivery on this one. It's almost got like a snarling quality to its tone. In your head, where fashion lives, it's alright. It's like they just get this energy ramping up and then the song just kind of explodes all of that energy outward. That was track 2, I Know. The drums on that one were just immense with their sound, especially right at the start there. They just had such an amazing richness to their tone. And that song was just ramping up this sort of suspense. It felt like something was building up throughout that entire track. There was all that intensity coming from his vocal delivery too, just such an urgency to that song. All right, continuing on is track 3 called Biscuits For Smut. Okay, very interesting vocals here. I've never heard distorted vocals like this from Helmet before. guitar, man, it's got such a high-pitched tone to it. Well, that was track 3, Biscuits for Smut. Certainly an interesting sound that Helmet embraced on that one. Very atmospheric, and there was this sort of 2D, like, flatness to the sound, if that makes sense. And with those distorted vocals too, it almost felt like I was kind of enclosed. I don't know, there was this very sort of cold, isolated feeling that it had. But continuing on with track 4 is Milquetoast. There's all of these sounds that they're using. It's almost like the guitars will rev up at certain points and then they get turned off all of a sudden. The push and pull with their music is just always fantastic. There's so many dynamics at play. This part right here is reminding me a little bit of Unsung off of Meantime. How Unsung has that ending that sort of ramps up the intensity. That was track 4, Milquetoast. The bass on that one was just so emphasized at the beginning. I absolutely loved that. And tonally, that track to me sounded like it could have been taken off of Meantime. It had a lot of similarities with how they were kind of ramping up the energy on that one. There was still those sort of atmospheric things though, like his vocals sounded like they were distorted a little bit. They kind of had that slight fuzzy quality to their sound. Up next is track 5 called Tick. There's such a heaviness to this one. It's got this really strong pocket that it's kind of falling into. Carve your niche! Carve your niche? It's interesting. The song Korea by Deftones has that same lyric in it. I know that Helmet has inspired Deftones. It's just kind of an interesting parallel. It's like this song just suddenly fell down into this barrel of darkness. The way that bass is so strong, and then there's like wolf howl sounds going on too. That was track 5, Tick. An absolutely fascinating song to listen to. It was like I was just surrounded by sound, especially there at the end. How it switched from that sort of groovy, almost punk style at the first half of that song, and then they just turned it into that really atmospheric, almost haunted, creepy sound. That switch between the two tones was just amazingly done. But continuing on with track 6 is Rollo. Those drums just have this rolling quality to them. All right, see how they're building it up? They're just adding these layers back in. That was track 6, Rollo. Toward the end there, man, that was just like a tidal wave of noise flooding at you. And a lot of you have told me in the comments how Deftones really takes inspiration from Helmet, and I did hear that a little bit on Strap It On and Meantime, but on Betty, that is really coming through with the tone of this album. With all of that distortion and the atmospheric stuff that they're doing, it's really reminding me a lot of the likes of White Pony by Deftones for sure. There's definitely tonally a lot of similarities there. But I'm going to continue on with track 7 called Street Crab. I think it was the guitar or the bass just there I heard. It kind of bounced up a little bit with its sound. That was fun. These drums, man, they have an amazing tone to them. It's like this crashing sound. Ice the beer. It's easy to feel good. The first I had at last. There's just so much intensity from the vocals, but it's really pushed back. It's kind of like he's being drowned out by the instrumentals. That was track 7, Street Crab. I loved the fuzziness there at the very end, how it faded out like that, and it was kind of like he was getting smothered or drowned or something. And the drums were absolutely my favorite part across that track. Just such an amazing sound to them. Their drummer is so talented. He just is able to convey so much energy with his playing style. All right, moving on to track 8 is Clean. This one's got sort of a smoothness to it. There's a little bit less of that sort of punchy, like abrasive back and forth that they do. Yeah, it's like there's a thick syrup or something coating this song. It's almost like you've got that abrasive sharpness, but it's sort of being muffled. That was track 8, Clean. A very fitting track title just because of how that sounded. It did have a more polished quality to it, more smoothed out. It was almost like they took those abrasive sort of rattling around qualities and minimized them a little bit, and it gave it almost a cleaner sound, so to speak. And again, with the vocal distortion, they're really utilizing that more on this album, and it's just adding sort of that more atmospheric style to their sound. But up next is track 9 called Vaccination. Petty news. It's only your bad ear. Bad nutrition. Man, just all of a sudden the song sort of ripped open a little bit. So much intensity to his vocal delivery. Okay, that's a different tone to the guitar. Kind of a different style now that they're infusing on. I love the little echoey effect there. Well, that was track 9, Vaccination. Quite an ending to that one, just a barrage of noise coming at you, that's for sure. And a very interesting juxtaposition sonically with that last song. Track 8, Clean, I mentioned, was so polished and very smooth with its delivery. And then that one, Vaccination, just kind of had that punchiness and more of that staccato, like really sharp quality to its sound. But continuing on is track 10 called Beautiful Love. This one is so soft. I was not expecting such a melodic track on a Helmet album. Why does this remind me of Primus a little bit? The way that bass sounds with all of that garbledness. That was track 10, Beautiful Love. A very unexpected song, that's for sure. Kind of like an interlude almost. The first half of that was very melodic. It had a beautiful tone to it. And then all of a sudden they injected on that really sharp, sort of garbled, industrial sounding quality. Again, just such a contrast of sounds going on. But continuing on is track 11 called Speechless. It's kind of cool because with how the song stopped like that at the start, there was almost an indecision to its sound. It's like they were kind of holding something back. I'd blame someone, but I've got you. Little change up on the vocals there. It kind of sounded like he was talking through a megaphone or something. That was track 11, Speechless. That is yet another song that sounded like it could have been taken off of Meantime. It kind of leaned more into that more punchy, almost punk style that Helmet has with their music sometimes. But then the vocals kind of fell down more into this almost somber quality with their delivery. It was kind of a contrast between that somberness of the vocals and then all the intensity of the instrumentals. All right, moving on to track 12 is the Silver Hawaiian. I love the buzzing sound. I don't know if that's the guitar. The vocals are kind of slurred a little bit. I don't know, it's hard to really hear what he's saying. That was track 12, the Silver Hawaiian. Not really sure what to make of that one. It had a sort of fun playfulness to its tone. It was kind of reminiscent to me of something Mike Patton would do, like a Mr. Bungle style song, just with the vocal delivery and all of the playful things they were doing with the instrumentals. But I'm going to continue on to track 13 called Overrated. Today's another day. Up above the bathroom. And his vocals have such a big, echoey quality on this one. It's so overrated. Even though this guitar is so abrasive with its tone, there's such a smoothness to this song as well. That was track 13, Overrated. Such an immensity to the delivery of that one. They captured a fantastic tone on that. Just how Helmet can so effectively layer up their instrumentals and create this almost wall of sound at times, but then how they switch it off and they know how to bring that more pulled in sound as well. They always strike such a perfect balance between the two. But I'm going to continue on to the final song on Betty, which is track 14 called Sam Hell. Is this a banjo? It's got such an intense twanginess to it. Where's that stocking at? It's known for making a cat. And there's a little bit of that distortion on the vocals with this one. They sound a bit muffled. Well, that was track 14, Sam Hell. Definitely a different song. If you played that to me out of context of this album, I would have had no idea that that was Helmet. No drums on that one, just that. I think it was an acoustic guitar. It almost had a banjo-like quality to its sound, just such a twanginess. Just very unexpected for Helmet, and certainly a unique way to bring this album to a close. Well, that is going to conclude my reaction to Betty, the third studio album from the band Helmet. They definitely stay true to their punchy, kind of punk rock sound that I love from their first two records, but they infused on this amazing sort of atmospheric, drawn-out quality at times too, a very experimental album. Track 4, Milquetoast, was definitely a standout. That one reminded me a lot of Meantime. The bass really shone through so incredibly well on that one. Also, track 5, Tick, was super interesting. The end there, how atmospheric and haunted it was with its tone, I thought was so cool. And I think my favorite on this album with one listen might be track 2, I Know. The drums on that one just had such an immensity to their tone, and it just brought such a driving force, like a punchiness to it. But ultimately, this whole album was just such a creative addition to Helmet's discography. It brought some very unexpected things, and I'm certainly curious to continue on with their discography and see where Helmet is going to go from here. But yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.